There was a lot of good times as well, a lot of crazy circumstances. And, that's part of life. It's the story arc, right? And, that's the other thing, it never ends. There's always that roller coaster to life.
Welcome to the My Future Business Show, where we get you in front of your best audience and keep you there. Not only are we interviewing the biggest names in business to help you become even more successful, we're inviting you to book your spot on the show to help you grow your business. So at the end of the call, make sure you fill in the interview application form at myfuturebusiness.com/interviews.
Hello and welcome back to the show. My name's Rick Nusky. This is the show that gets you in front of your best audience and keeps you there. I hope you're doing really well today. And if this is your first time on the show with us, you're in for a treat. Now, if you've been supporting the show for any length of time, thank you very much for that support. You know what you're in for, so let's jump right into it because I'm on the line with the wonderful Steve Borys. How are you, Steve?
Doing great. Thanks for having me on the show.
Oh, look, it's absolutely my pleasure. And we're going to be obviously talking about your book, How to Beat Stalin, Hitler, and the Southern State Parkway. Very interesting name. Now, just momentarily, just for context, you're a teacher, coach, and author of this wonderful book. And you've got very much an interesting story to tell that I think is going to help people work through these chaotic times. And that's really a large part of why I wanted you on. Not only do I have a special spot on the show for book authors, because I know how much work goes into writing a book, but those with stories that make a difference to people's lives are important. Now, if you don't mind, Steve, could you tell us where you're calling in from today?
The book is about finding hope. It's about trying to make a difference, like you said, in these chaotic times, and trying to bring everybody together. And hopefully, by reading this, I want everybody to realize, that they're loved, that they're not, that we're all in this together, and that we have more in common than we don't.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm wondering if we could, if you don't mind, Steve, just so that people have a context for where you are in the world, could you tell us where you're calling in from today?
Calling from my home in Weston, Connecticut.
Has that been where you've been all your life, or did you move there?
Yeah, I've been here for a few years now. I've lived in Connecticut for about 15 years. I grew up on Long Island, New York, which is not too far away, and I spent a good bit of time living in the Bronx in New York City.
Right. Now, tell us a little bit about your love of sports, Steve. I know you've got a passion for one particular sport, and I would love to focus on that and talk about your son's involvement now.
Yeah, sure. Sports has really meant so much to me. Growing up, I was learning disabled, overweight. I was being bullied mercilessly. And that's when my mother got me into football, playing American football. And that's where really saved my life. The men the coaches, the other players, they just instantly created a family for me.
Yeah.
And a source of support. It's not just about playing the games and everything like that. It's about giving people a place to fit in, a home. I remember when I first went out for the team, I was terrible. I could barely get out of my way, tripping over my own feet. And the first thing they had us do was run a warm-up lap around the field. And I could barely, it felt like I was running to, across the English Channel there. And one of the captains, this kid Jason, came back and he rescued me. He ran with me, basically pulled me across the finish line. And he said, we're all in this together. And then the next day at school, I saw him in the hall, and instead of being ignored by everybody in the building, he said, hi, Steve.
Yeah,
I almost looked over my shoulder to see who he was talking to. But, we had a slogan, or was that we were all brothers forever. And it wasn't just something catchy, you put on a T-shirt or something. It was something that was very real. And it didn't matter if you were first string, all-American, greatest player, or the third string scout team player like I was. We were all brothers, and we were all going to take care of each other.
Yeah, that's wonderful feedback. Thank you very much for sharing. Now, team sports obviously is a lot more, like you've said, than just the sports alone. Over time, how is it that you went from a third string, as you mentioned, but you ended up being team captain? Was that right?
Yeah, sure. As I started to play, I started to get a little bit better. And every time I wanted to quit or give up, um, I just thought back to the inspirational stories my mother had told me about my babcha,
Hmm.
okay, about which is Ukrainian for grandmother.
Right.
Uh, and she was such an inspiration to me. She had grown up in Ukraine and as a young girl became victim to Stalin's Holodomor, which was the Great Hunger, the Ukrainian genocide.
Mm.
And her and her family, they suffered greatly and they lost many family members and 4 to 6 million Ukrainians died as a result of that. And what I learned from that story was that th- she had an indomitable will,
Mm.
that her family stuck together and they weren't going to succumb to this great evil, and that they wanted to have hope in the future for a better life. And just when they were getting back on their feet and then recovered, Hitler was now master of Germany.
Mm.
And he unleashed Operation Barbarossa, in the second year of World War II, and she was captured. And she was separated from her family. She never saw a living family member again. And for the rest of World War II was a slave. And it was in those camps, the prison camps, where she had to work for the Nazis, where old women, the babushkas, came and they took care of her. They saw her and that she was a young teenage girl by herself, and they gave her comfort. And they actually smeared animal poop on her as a way to deter the German guards from God knows what.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
And it was about taking care of people when you didn't have to. They were hoping that maybe somebody was taking care of their granddaughter in whatever camp that they couldn't. And it was about, doing everything you could to stand up to these unspeakable
Acts.
events in their life.
Mm.
And she survived.
Wow.
After the war, Hitler commits suicide,
Mm.
and she survived two evil dictators, this young Ukrainian girl,
Wow.
and she went on to have a great life.
Mm. Mm.
And she had many other obstacles in her life, but when she finally passed away, she had met 4 grandchildren. She owned her own house. She had a small business. She immigrated to the United States, and that's how she was able to overcome those odds. So I looked at myself and I said, my goodness, what could I do?
Yeah.
Yes, I have problems. I lost my father at an early age. I was learning problem, this, that, I
Yep.
had all these excuses,
Mm-hmm.
and I said, let's go. And that was one of the things my mom always told me growing up. You can have what you want, or you can have excuses. And so I applied that to football and to my education. Um, when coaches would show up, I would take the coaching. I would stay late. I would lift weights. I would run. I would learn anything anybody was willing to teach me. And slowly but surely, hey, I wasn't the fat kid anymore.
Uh-huh.
Oh my God, I got a muscle or two. And that turned into 2 or 3,
Mm-hmm.
and it was just, everything just started to come together. But it took a lot of time, inspiration, and, it kind of goes back to what my mother and my babcha had taught
Oh,
me.
look, that's an incredible story. Thank you for that lead in. I know that means a great deal to you. If we look back at our family history and there's a story there, revealing that to the My Future Business audience means a great deal to us. So thank you again. I wonder, you've obviously had some great mentors along the way. Do you still think that getting around the right people is important?
It's everything.
Mm.
Um, I had the great fortune to meet some wonderful men and
Mm-hmm.
women,
Yep.
like my offensive line coach. If you know, with football, the linemen, we never touch the ball.
Hmm.
We're just the blockers and doing all that sort of thing. But it's the greatest job in the world. And our line coach was a man named John DeLuca, and he was a legend in high school football where I'm from.
Mm-hmm.
And he had a motto for us, or a prayer, actually. We call it the lineman's prayer. And it went, "We work the hardest, we're known the least, but who cares, for we are the reason." And it was all about teamwork. And if you work together side by side every day, you're not going to get the glory. You're not going to get the front page of the newspaper, but you're going to be the ones who get everything done. And the amount of joy you had in just working together, on the practice field, it was almost anticlimactic when you got in the game. It was a lot of fun, but
Yeah.
it was just being together with your brothers,
That meant
working
more.
together. And that's what he taught me.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Now, being around the right type of people, let's talk about your family and how much your direct family means to you. I know that I believe your son plays football now.
Yes, my son Peter. He's a junior currently, and we got him into football,
Mm-hmm.
and he's been growing big and strong, and he's had his ups and downs with his career.
Mm-hmm.
As a freshman, we came to Weston, and he got to play on the varsity, and which was a rare thing, and he got to start a few games, and we won the state championship.
Excellent.
And I got to coach him. So
wow.
that was a wonderful scenario. But then the next year, COVID struck, and they canceled the football season for us.
Oh.
And then, that was heartbreaking. I don't want to get into the whole COVID
No.
scenarios, but either way, it was heartbreaking. And last year, at the beginning of the season, he hurt his knee and he missed most of the season. So we've
Is
had
he
our
on the
ups and
mend?
downs. He's on the mend. He's feeling better.
That's
and
good.
We're looking forward to having a big senior year.
Now, I have to ask you, if I've read some of your reviews on Amazon, they're all very, very positive, and one of them talks about sharing this book with children. What do you think about that in terms of how your experience, your life's experience, your family's experience can help your own children and other children? Do you think it's relevant for them?
Yeah. I mean, that's the whole reason I wrote it.
Mm.
I had this story in me from over the years, and it was during the pandemic. I was looking at my own children. I was looking at some other friends and family members who were like really hurting. We're struggling. We're really down in the dumps. And I go, what can I do to try to help? And so this book is exactly for anybody who's struggling, and certainly for kids who were like me, who felt like, oh my goodness, I can't overcome. I got so many problems. And I want them to see what my Bapcha did.
Yeah.
And then I also want to see what I was capable of doing. And there's a whole bunch of other drama that went on, that you can overcome.
Steve,
but it's not going to be easy,
no,
and you're going to need help.
Steve, I wonder, I think for context, it's very important that people who are on this show, because we have a lot of different people listening in, so it's very important. I'm wondering if you could share some of the dark days that you have experienced. You actually had some suicidal thoughts at one stage. How did you recognize that you were in trouble, and what did you do?
I'm sorry, say again?
You went through some dark days yourself. You had some suicidal thoughts, and I'm wondering, how did you recognize that, and what did you do to overcome them?
It was my mother who recognized that.
Mm.
And, and she saw that I was at the end of my rope.
Yeah.
And how I really bonded with my mother was we both had insomnia. She was, had a great deal of stress in her life being a single mother. My father passed away when I was 5. I had a sister who was 2.
Mm.
So God bless every single mother out there. I don't know how they have the strength to do it. And I would wake up 11, 12 o'clock at night, come out, and she was always up. And we would sit down at the kitchen table. and she was always sipping a cup of coffee and having a Parliament brand cigarette. That was her brand. And I certainly don't encourage smoking, but
No.
that was her. And there was always coffee cake. And me being a chubby kid always enjoyed the coffee cake. And, and I could just talk to her about anything.
Yeah.
And, at first it was, you're going to be great. It's going to be okay. You're beautiful. You'll have a girlfriend and the school will make sense. I go, what are you talking about? You must be crazy. Everything you're saying is preposterous. I was flunking out of school. I couldn't spell cat if you bought me a vowel. And you're just my mom. You're supposed to say that. And then that's when she started telling me the stories. And that's when, whoa, okay, maybe I could do that too. And then she said, hey, we're going to get through this together, and she had my back every step of the way. And that's the other reason, I really wanted to write the book was when I was looking at these dark times, and I said, if there was one person I could bring back who could really help, it would be my mother.
Yeah.
There was nothing to me more inspiring and made you want to go and run through a wall than sitting with her. She could make you believe you could do anything.
Yeah.
And, that's the first part of the book is written it's a lot of conversations with her. And I think anybody could benefit, sitting down and having a conversation or listen to a conversation with my mom and having a piece of cake with her.
You seem very emotionally connected, and again, from the reviews I've read, that this book can be an emotional roller coaster. Would you agree with that?
Oh yeah, absolutely. It starts off, with me losing my father, and that's we get into great detail with that. But there's also a lot of laughs too. There was a lot of good times as well, a lot of crazy circumstances, and that's part of life.
Yeah.
It's the story arc, right?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
And that's the other thing. It never ends. There's always that roller coaster to life. You have your good times, bad times. It's about appreciating the good and not dwelling on the bad.
Yeah, that's amazing feedback. Thank you very much.
You learn from the bad.
Yeah.
You try not to repeat those mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
When you're up, you try not to get too arrogant and cocky about it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's about giving thanks.
Yeah, fantastic feedback. Thank you so very much. Now, I wonder, with your mental health and with the mental health of those around you, clearly that's a big part of your life's journey. Do you ever have any down days nowadays? And what do you do when you need to lift your spirits?
Do I have doubts now? Sure. All the time. I've got bad days. I was having an argument the other day with my daughter about something, very stupid.
Yep.
And she actually pulled a couple of lines from the book out of me.
Oh, there you go, Dad.
And I was like, oh, okay.
You win.
And, I actually, before the book was published, when I was still writing drafts of it, I almost threw it away. I said, the heck is all this? And one of my best friends, beautiful man, Christian, he's like, he helped me edit it. And he's like, you're losing faith. You got to read the book.
It's funny that.
And it's, you always need that support. You're always stumbling, you're always falling, but you're always trying to do the best you can. And I think, one of the most important lessons is, you got to build, like we talk about sports in the book a lot, but that's just a metaphor for life.
Yep.
You want to be successful in sports, you got to build a great team. Well, you want to be successful in life, you got to build that great team as well. Finding the right partner, spouse, making the right friends, positive friends who can be there for you. It means you got to get a therapist or religious people, whoever it is,
yeah.
to build that support for you and take the coaching.
Take the coaching. Now, I wonder, I hear all this, and one of the things that keeps tapping in the back of my head is daily goal setting. How important is goal setting to maintain, I guess, mental health?
Oh, absolutely. that's everything. That's what my mom did with me.
Mm.
She said, how are you going to get anywhere if you don't know where you're going?
Mm.
And she sat me down when I was young and had just been playing football for a little bit, and I still wasn't very good. And she said, you're going to go to play football. You're going to get a scholarship. You're going to play for a great university. You're going to find a beautiful woman.
Mm.
Just listed all these, absurd things. And she says, we're going to do it. And I said, Ma, that's crazy. She says, well, what else do you got to do? Okay. And you set out on it. And
Yeah.
and it all came true.
And it all came true.
There were a lot of setbacks. There were a lot of times, you wanted to give up and throw it away. But, you have to have that intestinal fortitude. And I've had periods of time where I felt lost and adrift.
Mm-hmm.
And it's about going back to setting the goals.
Yeah.
Even if it's just to make plans with a friend. Hey, we're going to go out to the pub on Saturday night, and
Yeah, anything.
that's a plan. So that you got something to look forward to.
Yeah.
And then you can build on those things. And sometimes it's baby steps that'll get you going in the right direction.
It's a great conversation. I'm loving this, Steve. Thank you. I wonder, you would know a lot about this next question. In terms of physical well-being, I believe that your physical well-being has a direct impact on your mental well-being. How important is maintaining your physical health?
Oh, it's critical.
Mm.
They go hand in hand.
Mm.
I wish I could say I was in the same shape I was back when I was in college, at the university. But that's a big part of it.
Mm.
If you don't feel good, if you don't look good, if you feel sloppy and this and that, it's going to have an impact on your self-confidence. And it's also going to have how much work you can do and how productive you can be. It's again, if you have that energy and health, you can get more done. You can feel better about yourself. And, it's the old expression, Lao Tzu, if once you correct your mind, everything else falls into place.
Mm.
So if you can start feeling good about your body and everything else like that, you can have more energy and be more productive.
I know that this is a big part, the mind and the body. And I wonder for you, Steve, do you like to get away just to clear your mind? What do you do with yourself? Do you go for a walk? What's your thing?
Oh, yeah. I love to go hiking.
Mm.
We have lovely parks around here up in Connecticut,
Mm-hmm.
and we take our dog, and we actually took her a little too much during COVID. She kind of rebelled, and she just wanted to lay on the couch.
I don't want to do this.
Yeah, we wore her out. I still enjoy lifting weights
Oh, yes.
and, bring back the glory days a little bit. I can't do what we used to do, but no, it's a big part of it, and break a sweat and keep you happy, and it's a
And
nice
that's the way it goes.
activity to do with your family too.
Absolutely. Now, I wonder, how long did this book take you to write? And was it a challenging thing? And was it therapeutic for you to get your thoughts onto paper?
Yeah. I joke, I say it took me 47 years to write. That's how old I am. And it's, I started thinking about it maybe about 8-9 years ago, and had some fits and starts about it, and didn't even know how I'd get published, and it just seemed,
Too hard.
something that I would never get to or never have enough time to do.
Mm-hmm.
But when we had the lockdown with COVID and we had a lot more free time, we couldn't coach and things of that nature, and I saw the need for something like this.
Mm.
That's when I just, got on my horse, so to say, and went for it.
Yep. Fantastic. Now, do you have another book up your sleeve, do you think? You got more to give?
Oh, sure, yeah. The next one, the main character is going to be my daughter, and her tale, and the trials and tribulations she's gone through, and also my son. Me and my wife, we kind of hit the genetic lottery. We were both recessive carriers for epilepsy.
Right.
And even though there was no family history of it on either side, both our children are epileptic.
Okay.
And it's my daughter, especially my son. It hasn't been so bad, but she's had an epic struggle with it. And only recently, her whole high school career was really devastated by trying to deal with it and the medicines and the side effects, and how she's always had such a tremendous attitude and is now really on track and turned her life around, and how she's been an advocate and has testified before local, state, and federal Congress, trying to get more money for research.
Right. Fantastic.
So she's an inspiration to me.
She sounds like a fighter, just like her dad. Now, I'm wondering, Steve, if you could share with us, when you're reading this book, is this more like a guide, or is it a cover-to-cover read? And how long will it take somebody to read it?
I've had some of my friends say, they couldn't put it down. They just picked it up, and especially the conversation with my mother. They just got so dragged in by it, and they just wanted to see, how it all ends up. And there's a lot of drama with my sister and some of her struggles and how she dealt with all the tragedies that, hit our family. And it's like a hit. My biography, kind of starts, when I was born and goes up to about 10 years ago in my life. But yeah, you can go through it pretty quick.
You go through it pretty quick. Well, look, is there one particular place where people can access this book, or do you have multiple outlets? Tell us a little bit about how people can get their hands on it.
Sure, it's on Barnes & Noble and Amazon. You could also get it on Google and Apple as well. And you can check out my homepage with Page Publishing. Mm-hmm. And you can also find me on Facebook, Instagram, and we're also starting to get a TikTok page going. We're going to start doing some motivational speaking shorts, and also a YouTube channel as well.
Hey, tell us, Steve, what do you think about audiobooks? Would there ever be a possibility of hearing you talk this book out?
Yeah, that's what I'm starting to do right now.
Fantastic.
Working with folks like you on these wonderful shows, and then also starting to book public speaking events.
Excellent.
With some of the local high schools and local groups. Where that's my mission. I want somebody to read this book or hear me speak and hear this story and realize they have hope. I want to bring them back from the edge, and I want them to go on and have a nice life.
We're going to do everything we can to help you achieve that goal, Steve, because you've done some wonderful work. And the mere fact that you're willing to share your struggles for the benefit of others tells me a lot about you. You're a wonderful soul, and I'd just like to say thank you so very much for joining me on the show today.
Well, thank you for having me. It was a pleasure.
Thanks for joining us today. If you enjoyed the call, then make sure to subscribe, leave a comment, share us with your friends, and book your spot on the show at myfuturebusiness.com/interviews. And if you're looking for solutions that will help grow your business, then visit myfuturebusiness.com/shop.